are again. Hello,
Hello.
hello. Here we are again after a month of traveling. We went to India. We went to visit again this incredible country. We went to study, to learn, to visit, to absorb a little bit more of their incredible culture. But we are back. So we have Nuno here today. Hello, Nuno.
Hello. I
How's
missed this
everything?
this this meeting, weekly meeting here live on Instagram and YouTube. It's good to be back.
It's really good to be back. And today we are going to talk about the magic of breath work, the timeless science of pranayamas. It's a really interesting subject that we have today. We studied a bit more in India about that, even after 30 plus years studying, learning, and teaching. I'm still learning a lot. How was it for you?
It was a great experience, uh, and I think India is so intense that you never feel that you are repeating something. Even Taj Mahal, you go there again and you still have new things to see, new things to experience. So it is an amazing country with the beautiful culture. And for us that we study subjects that are related to that culture, for us is very touching and at the same time very welcoming. It feels familiar, even though we made a few visits, but it feels like home, which is great.
It does, it does. So, Nuno, to start our live today, before we dig deep and the subject pranayama, I would like you to explain this concept and the importance of pranayamas inside our techniques and our practice that is part of the swastika yoga.
Okay, I'm gonna organize my answer in two parts. Okay, the first part is a newcomer. Okay, when someone starts to practice with us, and so the breathing technique or pranayama or breath work, we can call either way. Um, they are the opening of the first class. It's the moment that when we have a student for the first time. That happens to me yesterday. We have two new students joining the class, and it's this almost magical moment of getting them to understand how breathing works, and it's a discovery for them. So it is the opening chapter of our journey, and it's really beautiful because you learn in each class how to improve, how to optimize breath, how to breathe better, how to extract from these exercises the best for our quality of life. So it has this huge importance and it's a foundation for the practitioner. On the other hand, for an advanced practitioner, someone that is more used to, it's a continuous exercise. So that means when an advanced practitioner is doing their class, there's a big chance that they are doing pranayama from the beginning to the end because we need to be aware of breathing the whole time, almost like to double check how advanced you are. Okay, so if you are doing something challenging but you are still having control of your breath, you nailed it. Or if you are even during relaxation, you are breathing so slowly and you observe your breath and you double check. Yes, I'm doing a great relaxation and so on. So it has this double meaning of foundation on one side in the beginning of the journey, and then a continuous support for the practice for an advanced practitioner. Yeah.
That's amazing, yeah. And with all this experience that we have practicing and teaching, it's so interesting because at the same time, it's something everyone does since we are born. We breathe until we die. And even though it's something that people don't do it like the best way, I'm not going to say the right way. I think the best way, the way that we can use to take advantage of that. People don't do that. And most of time, or maybe never, people are aware of this ability that we have. And at the same time, they lose the opportunity to use it for themselves to improve their lives. And this is something we teach, and I think it's one of the most beautiful things that we can do for our students, is to teach them to bring this awareness on this subject. I really like this impact that breathing has in our life. And if you read James Nestor's book, he says that differently from what we thought until now, the most important thing that's going to impact our lifespan, it's not genetics, it's not eating healthy, it's not exercise, it's our breathing capacity. It's so impressive. And even though people are not aware of that and people don't use that in their favor. So I think it's really amazing what we do, because we are giving our students life. We are increasing their lifespan. And this always impacts me a lot. But
Agree.
sorry?
I totally agree.
Yeah. So, continuing the subject, why to learn to control the breathing can impact our mind and our body, or how does learning how to breathe impact our mind and our body? Or, like, if you can explain a little bit how this works and what happens to us when we breathe correctly, or the better way possible, and what's going to be the impact in our mind and in our body.
Very good. To better answer that question, we need to agree that breathing is a two-way road to our mind and to our body. Best way to experience that is you go for a run, and then if you're tired at the end of running, you're out of breath. So there's immediately a relation between your body, your physical body, or the challenge, and your breath, right? And probably if you're like out of breath and you encounter your best friend and say, "Hey, let's go for another mile." No, let me take my breath first, and then I can go. So notice you do that even without thinking, but you know that you need to have at least a specific performance of your breath so you can go to another mile. All right. So it is there in everyone. Okay. And the same with our minds. Okay. How many times you are like working hard on a specific task, a mental task, and when you finish, you just do, you sigh, you put your lungs out at the end of the task, like this extra need of a relaxation, and breathing is giving you that. The sense of accomplishment, I did it, but at the same time, you need to lower your stress and your mental activity, and just breathing out intentionally. It works like that. So understanding that this happens this way, we can take a smart decision, and okay, so if I improve my breath, I can use that in favor of my physical performance and mental performance, right? And the same with emotions, okay? How many times we are anxious and your best friend will notice because, are you anxious? Yeah, a little bit. Why did you ask? Yeah, your breath is kind of erratic. It's kind of something's different in your breath. So you express so many things. If you're tired, if you're happy, if you're stressed, through breathing. So, knowing all of that, let's turn the game around and let's work out your breath. Okay? Then you can have a better physical performance, you can have a better mental performance, you can have better emotional performance because you are improving your breathing skills with that purpose. I hope this makes sense.
It does, because it's a double way road or a double way path. The same way that to be stressed is going to change your breathing. If you are stressed and you change your breathing change is going to impact your level of stress. Like the influence goes both ways. And I think this is the click, because you can work on how your stress level or your mental activity is, and your body activity, with the example of running. It's a double way. You can change all those activities by breathing the way you want, so you can use it on your favor, and this is incredible,
Me
right?
just add one detail for that
Of
because
course.
that's why in our classes we train that. So this way, when we have the need of using or like switching, I'm stressed, I'm breathing in a specific way, and then I need to change breathing to change the emotional outcome, for example. To do that change, I need to know how. So we use the classes to learn how to do that
Hmm,
because
hmm.
we start to be more aware with specific breathing techniques, and then we can use it in real life, in real situations, and it works. Okay, which is which is great. But we need to learn
Yes.
before the event itself. Okay, so we need to do our homework. So that is important to notice.
Nice, nice. No, no. And what are the expected results that people can have if they incorporate the breathing exercises in their daily lives? Like, what can do expect doing that? We know that we don't work focused on benefits, of course, but we can't deny that they are here. So, what should we expect by doing breathing exercises every day?
So I think it is mostly well-being to feel better more hours a day. Okay, I think that that is kind of number one, not just from my experience, but also from the feedback from my students is I can feel better, and it's one of the few techniques that they can train more often outside of the class. Okay,
Mhm.
so they can use when they really learn, they start using, and it's a kind of a silent and invisible technique that they can do, and with that they can continuous training of that, and that gives a sense of well-being, which is the biggest impact they have. Uh, Other things that people talk about is change the posture, it changed the projection of their voice. It changed if they do sports. It improves their performance in sports. It can be, and it's not just physical sports like swimming or running. Even it's very popular in poker. players,
Mm-hmm.
that has a huge impact on their skills while playing poker. So there are endless positive results with that. Okay, so the list is huge, but they kind of converge into this general well-being. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's I think
Mm-hmm.
that will be the first and the most important answer.
And something that's really common to our students, it's not a problem that I have or that you have, but we know that, for example, United States, 40% of people has problems going to sleep. And if you know the right exercise to do, that's going to help you to relax deeper and induce you in a state of relaxation and going to sleep. We have a lot of exercises that help with that too. I always remember that you used to have this student back in New York, and he was always telling you that he cannot sleep, that he only can is able to go to sleep taking his sleeping pills, and it's really hard for him. And when he did your class, even the fast ones, the 30 minutes class, he would sleep like a baby. And it was so impressive because someone that's used to taking pills to go to sleep, and suddenly in your class he was like knocked out.
Yeah, yeah. Even though we know that during the relaxation, and most of the times we use breathing as a way of bringing students into a state of relaxation, the
Mhm.
goal is not to fall asleep, is to have a
Exactly.
lucid, conscious relaxation. But I think for him, in this particular example, and probably for many around the world, actually knowing how to fall asleep, even though that's not the purpose, but having the experience of how breathing can actually slow down and bring you to a state of relaxation and perhaps falling asleep, it is a huge win knowing that
Oh yeah.
they can reach that and not depending always on sleeping pills and having their own ability. It's biological. And I forgot one thing about the previous question.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, a lot of our students, because of breathing, they quit smoking. For
Mm-hmm.
example, because they start using their lungs in such a way that when they smoke and they see like, oh, I'm messing up what I'm learning in the class. And some of them, they take the good decision of quit smoking. I think it's a valuable, it's a good side effect of breath work.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, of sure. Well, of course. And could you explain just one simple technique that everyone can do, a beginner can do to start to practice with safely, that is going to have an impact in their lives? Like just one simple technique.
Yeah. I always use as a reference Rhoda Castro. She was already invited from us to give, I think, the first breathwork course in our platform. Uh, and the opening of her course, talking about that, is I always welcome a new student with conscious breathing. So that means pay attention to your breath. Don't just do an exercise. Stop what you're doing, turn yourself inwards to observe your breath, to
Mm-hmm.
understand what is your starting point. Okay, that doesn't mean you're breathing wrong or right, but if you're paying attention to your breath, how is it? Make this initial assessment.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a turning point for most of us. Because we need to do that, for example, when we are in anxiety crisis, or when we are tired, or when something happens and your breath is demonstrating that, and you need, as you mentioned previously, I need to change my breath. to make this exercise, I need to stop. I need to make the assessment of how is your breath. And then you can do whatever you need to improve. But this is something that we should do. I usually recommend sitting in a comfortable position, closing the eyes so you don't see notifications. You don't see like things popping around. Close your eyes and look and feel your breath. Okay? And then, of course, we can move on to other things like breathe just through your nostrils, which is doing the nasal breathing is really good. Put a slow pace in your breath, like breathe slowly, inhaling and exhaling. These are kind of the first three: conscious breathing, nasal breathing, slow breathing. Okay, I think everyone can do that by this order. Okay, first observe, then make it nasal, and then go slowly.
Nice. And do you think there is a specific moment during your day or an emotional state, and a specific emotional state that you recommend to execute pranayamas? How is it for you? What's your experience?
I would say 24/7.
Exactly. It's like drinking water. You should do it the entire day.
Entire day, right? For example, we were early today. We are here in Portugal, so it is the afternoon for us. But we spent 1 hour at the gym doing exercise. And I like to keep a nasal breathing the whole time. Even in the moment that I'm exhausted, that I'm tired, usually towards the end of the set that you're doing, I kind of challenge myself to do a nasal breathing. I always think that having a challenge, it's a hook for you to remember and to do it. Okay. Other moments that are important. I would say first thing in the morning is also important. Okay. Like stop and take a few deep breaths. It will take 1 minute. It will take 10 minutes. I don't think it's not about the amount of time, but having that moment that you pause, take a deep breath, or 2, or 3, or 4, and it feels like you're bringing life into your body. Okay. And I think another really good moment to do the same is when you are outdoors. Okay. And if you have the opportunity to be in the park or to be with more of the fresh air and not like a big city quality of air that usually is not that good. But if you can go to the nature or to a park or close to the ocean or to the sea, it is also a good moment to take deep breaths, because that air is better than usually you're indoors between four walls. Go out and breathe. Okay, I would suggest that. Okay,
nice. And I like to use it before I go to bed as well. I really like to do my breathing exercises before I sleep. I really feel that helps me if I can add something to this answer. Nice.
Good.
Okay, and how can we connect the breathing exercises, the pranayamas, to another techniques that we do in our classes, like meditation, for example? So how do you connect pranayamas, like breathing exercises, with meditation?
Okay. They can be very similar in a way. Okay? For example, I can do the box breathing. That means the complete breath, silent breath, and having the 4 phases with the same amount of time, inhaling, holding the breath, exhaling, lungs empty. And I can do that as a pranayama, as a breathing technique in the context of exploring breathing. But I can also use that as the challenge of concentration.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, counting from 1 to 4, for example, and having your breath matching that. So the
Mm-hmm.
attitude is different. In one way, we are working out your lungs, the muscles of your lungs, the quality of your breath, and so on and so on. So that's a pranayama. But I can use something that I already experienced, like the box breathing or chaturanga pranayama, as a meditation. So I want to use that as a focus exercise. I want to improve my concentration. And I'm going to do something familiar, easy to execute. It requires a lot of focus. It requires coordination. So it can be a meditation exercise. Okay. And we have others like the Soham is very popular and many others.
Mm-hmm.
We tend to give to our students as a welcoming meditation exercise, usually an image. Okay, that way we can. It is easier to differentiate what is breath work and what is meditation. So use an image. Try to imagine a big full moon, for example, and you imagine that. Concentrate on that image. Okay, this is our meditation exercise. You are focusing on a mental image. Okay, breath work is another thing. But then when time goes and you get more experience, you can actually train concentration or meditation with other techniques as well. So
Mm-hmm.
things tend to converge in such a way, not to mess up, but you can always train meditation or at least your concentration with all the other exercises of our class, right? So we usually separate, and then with time things can get a little bit closer.
Mm-hmm.
I hope this
And we
answers your question.
and we cannot ignore the fact that using the breathing exercises, they are going to change our brain waves as well. So if you do the right breathing exercise, it's going to bring you to a meditative state of mind. So it's really deeply connected because they work together, in my opinion, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Just complementing your line of thought. And to finish our live today and connecting the two subjects, Pranayama and India, during our trip, we had a few classes there. You had the opportunity to do a little bit like some more classes than me because in some places they were just for men. Do you have any insight or exercise, or did you notice something that they do differently from us? Or on the other hand, no, it's incredibly the same thing that we teach in our methodology. Like, can you share with us something related to breathing that you lived in our trip to India that you want to share here?
Yeah. I think one. I think there are a few things that are similar, and others they are other elements are different. Okay. Um, there is no consensus on the name of Yamas. Okay. That's okay. I'm okay with that. Everyone will call or give a different name depending on the school, depending on how they've learned, how they are teaching. And same with us. We have our names for the techniques that we use that will make easier for us teachers and students. So I think that's always a difference, and I'm okay. I actually don't put too much uh, thought on that. But an interesting thing is we did a few classes and they were again for beginners. Because we were new to the schools, to the ashrams. So they gave us a beginner's class, and they started with pranayama. That's similar to us, the way that we teach. Okay, even if you're doing the 30 minutes class, meditation and breath work, or a longer class with movement, usually we welcome our students with reading techniques. That's very
Nice.
similar to how we teach. Um, a few differences, for example, because I usually I like to give small steps with my students. Learn this. When I notice that they're good, then I give something else, and so it goes. So usually I wouldn't teach an alternate breathing as the first class. Okay, even though I know how important that is, but they taught us the alternate breathing in a few of the classes that we've been in India, and that is something that I would say, if someone is breathing through their mouth the whole time, maybe it's an unpleasant exercise to do. That they need to breathe through the nose and blocking one of the nostrils. It can be confusing. It can be kind of too much. In my opinion, I would go slower until I'll teach that technique. Okay, I think that's a big difference. Of course, there are also
Agree.
differences how they obstruct the nostrils. They use different gestures, different mudras. I'm also okay with that. Is their story? They are telling their story as we tell our story the same way. I think that's the most important details of these classes that I attended. I think they are
Mhm.
these details here.
Maybe the didactic is different. Like you were in a really traditional yoga school there, and we are like our didactic is a little bit more concerned with the beginner, and they are like, we cannot lose time. Let's go to what it works. Maybe it's
Hmm.
the meaning for that. And
Yeah,
before we finish, is there any other comment, suggestion, or invite that you want to do?
of course. This Sunday,
Wow, really?
yes, yes. This Sunday, once again, we're going to have a really special practice with Professor DeRose. He has more than 6 years teaching. His whole experience can be concentrated in a few hours teaching a class, of course. Even us teachers that we make our lives teaching, it's always an amazing class. We learn so much. We start giving better classes after this class that happens once a year. It's the only class that Professor DeRose gives to students, to the audience. So that opportunity is unique. So I'll make this as an invitation. Reach out to us so we can give all the details about this practice. It will happen this Sunday online. It will be broadcasted from Sao Paulo, where he lives. We're going to have a team there taking care of the transmission. We're going to have simultaneous translation into English. One of our teachers, which is also a professional translator, will do the job, and the practice will be flawless with step. So, what else? Just
That's it.
join us. It will be an incredible practice. For sure, we're going to talk a lot about breath work. It is something that is always present when he teaches. So let's go. Let's practice together.
Nice. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye bye everyone. See you next week. Have a beautiful week ahead.
Yes. And hope to see you
Bye
Sunday. Bye
bye.
bye.